Hi friends, this is me Payal Datta, and in today's video I'm going to help you with the line-by-line explanation of the story with the photographer by Stephen Leacock. So if you are new to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. So without any further delay, let us quickly start the story. I want my photograph taken, I said. So the narrator is telling the photographer that he wants his photograph to be taken. The photographer looked at me without enthusiasm. Enthusiasm means interest. So the photographer, he looked at his customer, that is the narrator, without any interest. He was a drooping man in a grey suit with the dim eye of a natural scientist. So the narrator, he is describing the photographer. How did he look? He was a drooping man. That is, his shoulders were bent in a grey suit. So he wore a grey suit. Now, grey is a very symbolic term. It symbolizes old age. So this photographer, you see, he was a very old man. He had shoulders that were drooping, that were bending, with the dim eye of a natural scientist. So this photographer, because he was a photographer, he used to experiment new things. So he was like a natural scientist. And because he was old, his eyes were dim, they were dull. But there is no need to describe him. Everybody knows what a photographer is like. So the narrator is saying like he was like any other common photographer. The only thing is that he was very old. Sit there, he said, and wait. So this photographer, who is totally disinterested in his customer, he is telling him to wait outside. Sit there and wait. I waited an hour. So the narrator waited outside the studio for an hour. So you see, this photographer, he has no interest in his profession at all. And when we go to a salon, we go to a parlor, or we go to an airport and we have to wait for an hour and we find magazines in front of us, what do? We browse through the magazine. So this narrator, what did he do? I read the Ladies' Companion for 1912, the Girls' Magazine for 1902, and the Infants' Journal for 1888. So the narrator, like us, he too browsed through the magazines. He went through the pages. I began to see that I had done an unwarrantable thing in breaking in on the privacy of this man's scientific pursuits with a face like mine. So what does the narrator say? He's saying that I had done an unwarrantable thing. Unwarrantable means illegal. So by browsing through the magazines that the photographer kept outside his studio, it seemed like I had done an illegal thing. What was the illegal thing that he did? Breaking in on the privacy of this photographer. Breaking in means to interfere. So I interfered with the privacy of the photographer's scientific activity. Pursuits means activity. With a face like mine. So the narrator is saying that the photographer had a face like mine. So for the first time we come to know that this narrator, he was a man, because the photographer was an old man. And the narrator is saying that he had a face like mine. So obviously we get to know that the narrator was an old man. So after an hour, the photographer opened the inner door. That is, he is calling the narrator inside the studio where the picture is going to be taken. Come in, he said severely. Severely means in a very cold manner, in a very harsh manner, very badly, very rudely. I went into the studio. So the narrator did as he was told. "Sit down," said the photographer. So you see, the photographer is continuously ordering the narrator. Like, "Come in, sit down." He is continuously instructing him. And the good narrator, the humble narrator, he is following. He is obeying. "I sat down in a beam of sunlight filtered through a sheet of factory cotton hung against a frosted skylight." Now, a skylight is a window. A skylight is a window that is placed in the roof of a house. And here, that window is frosted. Frosted means it is rough. And skylights, they are not transparent. They are semi-transparent windows. And so this skylight was not only semi-transparent but also rough. The glass was rough. So this narrator, he is sitting in the studio and a beam of sunlight is entering the room through that skylight. And in front of the skylight, you have a sheet of cotton fabric. A sheet of factory cotton, that is a cotton curtain that was hanging in front of that window. So naturally, when the sunlight is entering the room, it is filtering through the curtain and then reaching the atmosphere of the room. So by the time it reaches inside, the light has already faded. The photographer rolled a machine, that is the camera, into the middle of the room and crawled into it from behind. So he brings the camera in the room, in the middle of the room, and he goes behind the lens. He was only in it a second, just time enough for one look at me. And then he was out again. So he went behind the lens, the photographer went behind the lens, and then he saw something, and in a second of time, he came out. Tearing at the cotton sheet and the window panes with a hook stick, apparently frantic for light and air. So as I said, this skylight, it was semi-transparent, and so the sunlight that was coming was not enough. Moreover, you have a curtain in front of it. So what did this photographer do? He removed the curtain and he opened the window panes. And because it was a skylight, I said it is placed on the roof of the house. So this photographer, he cannot reach it. And so he used a hooked stick. A hooked stick to open the window panes. Apparently frantic for light and air. Frantic means when you are in a hurry. The photographer, he was in a hurry for light and air because he needed to take a picture in a lighted room, and this room had turned dull because the beam of light was being filtered by the sheet of cotton curtain. He was only then he crawled back into the machine again and drew a little black cloth over himself. So after he removed the cotton curtain, he went back behind the lens again and drew a black cloth over himself. He covered himself with a black cloth. This time he was very quiet in there. I knew that he was praying and I kept still. The photographer went behind the lens, and like the previous time what happened? The photographer went behind the lens, had a look at the narrator through the lens, and in a second he came out. But this time when he went behind the lens, he was there for quite some time. And the narrator knew that this photographer is praying. Praying means he is wishing, and I kept still. Still means I was motionless. Now when someone takes a picture, we are always motionless, because if we are not motionless, what will happen? The picture will turn out to be blurred. So this narrator, he too understood that the photographer wants me to remain motionless. and he did not move. When the photographer came out at last, that is, when he came out from the black cloth, he looked very grave and shook his head. He looked grave, meaning he looked very serious and shook his head. He nodded to show a sign of disapproval, that as if he did not like something. The face is quite wrong, he said. So he did not like the face of the narrator. I know, I answered quickly. I have always known it. That is, I know that I look ugly. But however, I had accepted the fact that I am not beautiful. He sighed. The photographer sighed. Sighed means he gave out a deep breath to express his sorrow, as if he is sympathizing with the narrator. I think, he said, the face would be better 3/4 full. So the photographer is telling the narrator that instead of looking forward or looking in the side, why don't you show your face in a 3/4 angle, in the 3/4 view. 3/4 means 3/4 view of the face. So if you show a face like that, then the picture will turn out to be very beautiful. That is what I think. I'm sure it would, I said enthusiastically. Enthusiastically means I approved to what the photographer had to say. For I was glad to find that the man had such a human side to him. The narrator was happy to realize that this photographer, he has some sort of a gentleness, compassion towards him. Because he is thinking as to how the picture will look better. So would yours. In fact, I continued. Now remember the narrator said that the photographer's face looks like mine? So here the narrator is saying that yes, even your picture would turn out to be beautiful if you took a picture in the 3/4 angle. How many faces one sees that are apparently hard, narrow, limited, but the minute you get them 3/4 full, they get wide, large, almost boundless in. Here the narrator is saying that if you look at the faces everyone has, apparently, that is, it seems to be hard, it seems to be narrow, it seems to be limited. So every face has a flaw. Limited means small. But when you take a 3/4 picture, a 3/4 full picture of that person, then what happens? The picture gets wide, it gets large, boundless. Boundless means big, immense. And then the narrator realizes that the photographer is not listening to him. But the photographer had ceased to listen. Ceased means to stop. So the photographer did not pay any heed to what the narrator had to say. He came over and took my head in his hands and twisted it sideways. He came over means he went towards the narrator, took him by his hands and twisted his head. He gave him the 3/4 view. I thought he meant to kiss me and I closed my eyes. But I was wrong. He twisted my face as far as it would go and then stood looking at it. So after twisting the narrator's face, what did the photographer do? He observed his face carefully. He sighed again, as if that no matter what I do, you will not look beautiful. He sighed again in displeasure, in dissatisfaction. I don't like the head, he said. Now, first time he did not like the face. Now he says, I don't like your head. Then he went back to the machine and took another look. Again, he goes back behind the lens to have a look at the face. Open the mouth a little, he said. I started to do so. Close it, he added quickly. So he is trying to modify the face as much as possible. He's trying to see what will make the picture look good. But no matter what he does, nothing can please him. Then he looked again through the lens. The ears are bad. Now he doesn't like the ears of the narrator. He said, droop them a little more. Droop means hang your ears a little more. Thank you. Now the eyes. Now he doesn't like the eyes. Roll them in under the lids. So roll your eyes under your eyelids. Put the hands on the knees, please. And turn the face just a little upward. Yes, that's better. Now just expand the lungs. Expand the lungs means to inflate your lungs. Look bold. So, and hump the neck. Hump the neck means to bulge your neck. To hunch your neck. That's it. And just contract the waist. That is, reduce your waist. And twist the hip up toward the elbow. Now, I still don't like the face. So after everything, I still don't like your face. Your face has a problem. It's just a trifle too full. But a trifle means it is somewhat too full. It is somewhat too big. So what do I do to make your face look small? Your face has a problem in it. I swung myself round the stool. So the narrator, he swayed himself round the stool. He did not like, he was heartbroken by whatever the photographer was telling about him. Stop, I said with emotion, with sentiments, but I think with dignity. So whatever I said, it was filled with emotions, but I said it with honor, with dignity, with respectability. This face is my face. So you see, he knows how to accept himself. It is not yours, it is mine. I've lived with it for 40 years and I know its faults. So the narrator, he was 40 years old and he was aware of the faults, the flaws, the defects of his face. I know it's out of drawing. I know it is imperfect. I know it wasn't made for me, but it's my face, the only one I have. So I am happy with whatever I have. Even if it's imperfect, even if it's not beautiful, even if it's small or big, whatever you call it, it is my face. It is God-gifted and I accept it the way it is. I was conscious of a break in my voice. Break in my voice means there was a change in tone in my voice because I was sad. But even then, I went on. Such as it is, I've learned to love it. So no matter how it is, I have learned to accept it. And this is my mouth, not yours. These ears are mine. And if your machine is too narrow means too small, then I can't help it. Here I started to rise from the seat, as if he was very annoyed, he was heartbroken, and he wanted to leave the studio. Snick! The photographer had pulled a string. The photograph taken. So just when the narrator was about to leave, what did the photographer do? He pulled the string and took a photograph. I could see the machine, that is the camera, still staggering from the shock. Staggering means amazed, surprised from the shock. I think, said the photographer, pursing his lips. Pursing means when you press your lips in a pleased smile, as if he was very satisfied with what he has done. that I caught the features just in a moment of animation. So what does the photographer claim? He's saying that I clicked your picture in a moment of animation. When your part of your face were most lively, I took your picture, and that is why I am very satisfied. Features means the parts of your face, and moment of animation means time of liveliness. So, I said bitingly. Bitingly means in a very unpleasant manner, very coldly. Features, huh? You didn't think I could animate them, I suppose. So you don't think that I can bring my features to life? I think that you don't think it that way. But let me see the picture. So let me see what you have clicked, how lively I look. Oh, there's nothing to see yet, he said. I have to develop the negative first. So the picture was in form of a reel. The photographer had to convert the reels in order to take out a photograph. So he says that come back on Saturday and I'll let you see a proof of it. A proof of it means a trial print of it. Now on Saturday I went back. The narrator goes back to see the picture. What beautiful picture he has clicked. The photographer beckoned me in. Beckoned is when you call someone with hand signals. So the photographer called him in. I thought he seemed quieter and graver than before. He was more silent and more serious. I think, too, there was a certain pride in his manner. Pride means a sort of delight in his manner, a sort of satisfaction in his action. He unfolded the proof, that is the trial print. He unwrapped it of a large photograph, and we both looked at it in silence. So both of them were amazed. One of them was amazed, the other was shocked. Is it me? I asked. So the narrator is asking, this is my picture. Yes, he said quietly. It is you. And we went on looking at it. So they both looked at the picture. They kept staring at it. The eyes, I said hesitatingly. So the narrator was hesitating. So he spoke in a pause. The eyes don't look very much like mine. So the eyes have no resemblance with my eyes. Oh no, he answered. I've retouched them. I have fixed them. I have improved them. They came out splendidly, don't they? Splendidly means impressively. So your eyes look so impressive after I have fixed them, don't they? Fine, I said. But surely my eyebrows are not like that. No, said the photographer. With a momentary glance. Momentary glance means a short glance, a short gaze at my face. The eyebrows are removed. We have a process now, the Delphi, for putting in new ones. So there is a new process that has come out, and there you can remove the eyebrows. And I applied that on you. You'll notice here, we have applied it to carry the hair away from the brow. I don't like the hair low on the skull. So the photographer is saying that I don't like hair in front of the forehead. So we remove that hair too. You can see, we use Delphi to do that. Oh, you don't you? I said. That you don't like hair on the forehead, don't you? No, he went on. I don't care for it. I like to get the hair clear. Clear means removed. Back to the superficies. Superficies means the surface, behind. And make out a new brow line. So now that I have removed the hair from your skull, your forehead, now what will I do? I will create a new eyebrow for you. What about the mouth? I said in a with a bitterness that was lost on the photographer. Is that mine? So is this mouth mine? And the narrator says this with bitterness, with dissatisfaction. He was very unhappy with whatever he had been shown. He had come to the studio with a lot of expectation and everything was gone. It's adjusted a little. So your mouth has also been reshaped. It has been modified. He said, yours is too low. Too low means too small. I found I couldn't use it. So I don't like it. So I cannot use it in my photograph. And so what did I do? I adjusted it a little. The ears, though, I think, strike me as a good likeliness. They are just like mine. So the narrator is pointing out that the only thing that I can relate to that is similar to mine are the ears. They strike me. That is, they impress me unexpectedly because they resemble my ears. Yes, said the photographer thoughtfully. Thoughtfully means absorbed in his thoughts. Now, why was he absorbed? Because he has altered, remodified every part of the face, but not the ears. So now he is thinking, what can be done to the ears? That's so. But I can fix that all right in the print. So remember, the photographer had shown a trial print of the picture. So now he is telling, when the real photo will be done, I can fix your ears too. How will I fix it? We have a process now, the sulfide, for removing the ears entirely. So now he is going to remove the ears forever, entirely, completely. I'll see if... Listen, I interrupted. Interrupted means I interfered. Drawing myself up, that is, I stood up straight and animating my features, bringing life to my features, my body, my traits, to their full extent, to their full degree, and speaking with a withering scorn. Withering scorn means in a very mocking tone, in a humiliating tone. Withering means when you have an intention to humiliate somebody. Scorn means mockery. That should have blasted the man on the spot. That should have shamed this photographer immediately. What did he say? Listen, I came here for a photograph, a picture, something, mad though it seems, would have looked like me. So I want a picture that would have looked like me. I wanted something that would depict my face. Depict means to represent. So it would be a representation of my face. And how would it represent it? As God gave it to me. Just like I look. Humble though the gift may have been. So even though my face looks poor, it looks humble, it looks ordinary, I wanted a picture where I look like myself. I wanted something that my friends might keep after my death as a memory to reconcile them to my loss. Reconcile means to calm them, to pacify them. It seems that I was mistaken. It seems that my thoughts were wrong. What I wanted is no longer done. So what I wanted, that is a photograph, that is no longer done. Go on then with your brutal work. Your brutal means your merciless work, your pitiless work. And what will you do? Take your negative, or whatever it is you call it, dip it in sulfide, bromide, oxide, cowhide, anything you like. Remove the eyes, correct the mouth, adjust the face. Adjust means to alter the face. Restore the lips, that is replace my lips. Animate the necktie. Animate is to revive. The necktie. The necktie is like a scarf which you put around your neck. And reconstruct the waistcoat. So he was wearing a waistcoat. So see, he is saying, Why don't you remake that too? How will you remake it? You will coat it with an inch of gloss. That is, you will cover it with varnish and it will shine. Shade it. Emboss it. Emboss means to carve it, to mold it. Gild it. Gild it means you make it more large, elaborate it, till even you acknowledge that it is finished. So unless and until you feel, you acknowledge means to accept that it is finished, that the photograph is finished, that is complete, you keep on modifying it. Then, when you have done all that, keep it for yourself and your friends. So when the photograph is ready, you have totally altered it, you have removed things, you have adjusted things, you have restored things, you have reanimated things. What will you do? Keep the photograph to yourself or give it to your friends, show it to your friends because they may value it. Value it means they will appreciate it because you have done such a lot of work. You have used new techniques, so they will admire it. But for me, to me, it is but a worthless bauble. Worthless means a useless thing. A bauble is a decorative item. So this picture has become a decorative item for me, which is totally useless. And saying this, the narrator broke into tears and he left the studio. So in this story, Stephen Leacock is actually showing that how we body shame others. However, even if people body shame you, you should accept the way you are. Self-acceptance is very important. That is what the story is about. So here he uses a very hilarious situation to show that these Photoshop and all those things that are coming up for body shaming, this is totally unacceptable. You shouldn't accept that. You should accept the God-gifted face that you have. So with this, I come to the end of today's video. If you have any problem, any queries, you can write in the comment section below. I will definitely answer your queries, okay? Till then, ta-ta!